Hello, everyone. Welcome to Decked. My name is Tyler, and with me today is my transatlantic co-host, Lee.
Hi, Tyler. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. Nice to fill in for Ray.
Yeah?
I'm his proxy.
No, you are a host in and of yourself. Everybody, folks who are tuning into Deck for the first time, we play card games and then come back and commentate on them afterwards. What you're seeing on the screen right now is a game of Call of Cthulhu that was at a tournament hosted by Black Moon Games in Lebanon, New Hampshire. On your left, you can see my hands. I'm playing a Yog-Sothoth Shub-Niggurath deck, and on the right, you can see a frequent co-host of the show, Ray, who's playing a Cthulhu and second faction that I can't pull.
Yog-Sothoth.
Yeah, it's green and purple. So, we're just going through the first turn here. I will say this is a new deck of Ray's, I can tell you that. He generally generates a new deck the day of the tournament or shortly before. And so it's always an experiment with him.
And so, considering last time with the Hatter deck he made 15 minutes before the tournament, it does seem to be his thing.
Yeah, he's fond of pointing out that he is generally last in constructed, first in draft. So we have not yet gotten to document a draft tournament, unfortunately. Maybe someday.
Does he just prefer the deck building side of it over the playing, and so that's why drafts his stronger suit, because he's in his element, whereas everyone else is still used to the constructed deck building?
That might be it. He's better at making something out of what he's got. On my first turn, I've played out the Pervasive Toxemia, which is apparently a fairly popular conspiracy these days, because it causes someone to have to wound a character to commit to stories. And then threw down a Faceless Abductor, who's always good for removing characters early in the game.
And one of my favorite Yog cards.
Mm-hmm.
They do so much. It's
practically an auto-include, I think, if you're going to play purple. Although with this particular deck, I found I was struggling with the faction mix, because it's primarily red, and then there's like a 10-card splash of whatever I've been moving in and out. And it just doesn't really work well.
So Race plays a San Giorgio. It's a night card, and like many of the cards from Terra and Venice, is immune to non-day effects to help give it protection. And when he would draw a card, he instead reveals the top two cards, places one in his hand and one to go into the bottom. So outside of much draw in Cthulhu, it allows them to get through their deck at a better rate. The downside is your opponent knows exactly what's coming.
Right. Which sometimes can be to your advantage if you want to play the intimidation game.
Very good with players who like mind games. Jedi Mind Tricks, it's a good card for.
Mm-hmm. So I think I just resourced another Toxemia. No, I didn't. I kept the Toxemia. Interesting. And threw down another Abductor.
Just to really wound the fact that he's got no characters on the table yet. So when they do, they're probably not going to stay around for long either.
Right. Yeah, it's that's like 3 characters that could get removed before he could actually commit something, potentially. Or contend, I guess.
So from his first use, he revealed a Twilight Cannibal, which he took, and Cthulhu Fatang. And with his second one was Menomqua, the Ancient One, which he's choosing to take, and putting back a Forbidden Shrine.
So my recollection is he was just basically starved for characters, so he's taking whatever bodies are showing up. So San Giorgio's really helpful with that.
Yeah, I mean, if he had the Cannibal and just the Cthulhu Fatang now, even if he did play him, he couldn't defend if he wanted to, simply because he would have to wound himself and still do nothing. So and the only advantage is he's protected from the Abductor due to being skill 4.
And Numqua's a ways off, I think, because it's cost 5 or 6.
He's cost 5, yeah, so it's still, it's there, but at least if he builds up towards it, you can go, well, I know exactly what he's building towards. So.
Right. And he's thinking. Oh, I believe that's Even Death May Die, is by my recollection.
It is. And then you very kindly go, no, I'm going to put it here. I need to see it on camera.
I'm always keeping that sort of thing in mind. It's caused me to ask a couple players to rearrange the way they normally set up their mats. So that's not a psychological mind trick at all, though.
Oh, no. And say, I've never seen anyone. I think I've only experienced even Death May Die once because I like the idea of it. For people new to game who haven't had a chance to try it, when a card would enter the attached discard pile, it can be removed from the game instead, and a token placed on Death May Die. So it's quite useful for especially relics, plague stones, because they go in and then passively remove out. So you make sure they just never go back into their owner's deck.
Mm-hmm. When he was trying a different version of this deck earlier on, he actually used it quite a bit, just because whatever deck I was using cared a lot about the discard pile. So it can be very effective, particularly if you're working against anyone whose effects are triggering from discard, for instance.
Well, the fact you played the Plague Zone just to reinforce my point as well, to go,
yeah,
if that does go off, no, keep it away.
Mm-hmm. I'll be interested to see if he got to do that this game. And now he's just going for more characters. I can't pull the name. I believe it's a shadowy figure he just put in his hand.
Yes. First cards, he chose the Menomqua Serpent, and then he followed up with a shadowy figure, a 2-cost, which also makes it night. So he really likes hiding in the shadows with this deck, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, his characters are shadow.
Unfortunately, they're so shadowy, they're not here yet.
This is Toxemia in general just makes the game much slower because everybody's waiting to have enough characters to actually commit in an effective manner.
I think anyone who builds a deck these days has to take it into consideration, even if just to make sure they think about it in terms of the game and can they deal with it in some way, either enough bodies or toughness or even just blanking it or some way to remove it with the new agency character to shuffle it back in, for example.
Mm-hmm. But
it's just a card you can't forget about.
Right. I played against one game recently where it was just a question of plowing through it. The other player just went, I'm going to beat this in 2 turns, and he did.
That's one way to deal with it. Just don't let it hang around. Just smash through it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he had actually did in 1 turn because he had Jacob Finnegan and the Gambler, the High Roller.
So after he succeeded, he could wound him and then Jacob it as well as Investigation. Yeah, that's one way to make sure.
Mm-hmm. And I just thundered an even Death May Die after I stopped myself from trying to do it to San Giorgio, which was immune. I think I just wanted the card draw.
And then cheekily followed up with another character. Yeah. This time the commander for giving everyone combat.
Right. He just needs some legions now. or a way to co-op the abductors. Oh, that night gaunt.
So that time it was a Caleb Orison and a Devious Night Gaunt. So once again, more characters, as Ray definitely needs bodies on the table. The Ice Storm wouldn't be doing too much right now anyway, as to go into stories, you would have to discard success tokens, but as it's if able, because you've got none, it would just be a dead card right now. So understandably, I think most people would choose a character.
Right. And these are playable characters where he's sort of been stockpiling the higher cost ones. Or at least the one Numqua.
So he's going for the large build, getting ready for Numqua next turn, obviously.
There's Caleb.
I tried as part of building some deck testing, a deck using Caleb and other cultists, and his effects, where if a player doesn't commit to a story when stories are gone into, a player has to sacrifice support, is just a real good way of getting rid of supports or telling your opponent, you need to go in. I actually think a deck using Shub and Cthulhu, where you're using Toxemia and trying to reduce the chance of your opponent going in to just make sure you keep blowing up their supports, is a potential strong idea and one I may look into.
I would be intimidated by that prospect. Because now Caleb's text, and you can see on the screen here, I'm still trying to process it. It specifies is if one player commits and the other does not, or anytime a player does not commit.
I believe his exact wording is after all stories are resolved, each player that did not commit at least one player to a story must sacrifice a support card he controls if able.
I see. So stories have to have resolved.
Yeah, so he's similar to the Obsessive Elder thing, where if no story is resolved, nothing happens.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that seems a little more reasonable than, forcing a commitment every turn. Now we have some toughness on the board with the Ageless Migo.
The commander is in charge of someone, finally.
You, get in line. It's just you. Yes, get behind me. And a scout. So a little toughness, a little investigation.
Never a bad combination.
No. And enough abductors to shuffle away anybody on the other side.
As well as Caleb, there is the Devious Nightgorn who can, if it's not nighttime, blank text boxes of character skill 2 or less. But if it goes up to nighttime, it's character skill 4 or less, which can massively impact the game, as blanking's always good. And because there's so many characters which rely on being in the story to do things, can correct. I mean, the fact it even works on David Pan at nighttime is incredible.
Mm-hmm. And do you know the Nightgon's skill by chance?
He's only skill 1, unfortunately. Skill 1 and only 1 terror, but so he's more of a support character in my mind.
Mm-hmm. I just preemptively sent away Caleb, so I guess it's an interesting choice.
But then, knowing that there's nothing I can know and done about it, 3 successes all round. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just wondering what I was thinking, because usually I'll wait till the last second and see who the other person's committed.
See if they defend first, or you'll wound him. Okay, I'll bounce to the defender, but
mm-hmm.
The only thing I can think of is if he thought he would wound Caleb, puts the Nightgorn into defend, and whoever you wounded, they would no longer be a Migo or have toughness, and then suddenly explode.
That sounds very reasonable. I think I did that in at least one game. Had to suddenly start thinking about who's wounded and who might not be Amigo in a second.
Let's go with that's the reason why.
Yeah, I'm so smart. So that was a pretty good turn.
So that's you pretty much ready for next turn to go, well, unless a swath of characters turn up, it's looking quite promising.
Mm-hmm.
And so that time he chose another Menomkar's Serpent and a Cthulhu Spawn who can blow up characters within stories, which is a good way to keep your opponent under control as well.
Mm-hmm. No, another one of those cards that shows up just often enough that we have to be thinking about, what does this card do again? So he's
I'd say I've had that myself recently as well. We play cards and people are like, what's you? You're in the core set. How have I not remember you?
So he just threw one of the serpents on the scout. And the Ageless Migo. Oh, he had all 3.
Menomkar is very upset with you. So the interesting thing about it is it's an event that turns into a support attachment similar to tear gas and so forth, and really punches your opponent as it makes them discard at the end of discard a card at random from their hand at the end of their turn. So he's now really forcing you into, you've got to play out your hand or keep no surprises back, which is quite mean, really.
I was not at all in favor of this plan, and I can see based on what I'm peeking at in the hand on the screen here, I'm guessing about what's going to happen. I saw a thunder and a pushed, and I feel like he might be forcing me to use those resources on myself.
Well, I mean, at worst, for example, the Faceless Abductor can bounce the Scout or the Ageless Amigo.
Right.
Which would be one way to protect yourself.
Yeah, I would hesitate to bounce the Aegis because then the commander would go. But
yeah,
I kind of think something like that is going to come up because locking down all 3 of the effective characters at once is just rough. And it demonstrates to all the viewers at home why this 30-plus minute video is 30-plus minutes and not another 5.
Don't give it away.
Some people will pad the end of a video just so you don't know when it's going to end.
That would be some extreme padding, however.
Mm-hmm. 15 minutes of Plan 9 from outer space. So remove the Numqua from, or the serpent from the commander there with the thunder.
And it looks like you drew into another Migo too.
I think that's
for
the
him to
observer
lead as well.
Yeah, I'm positive that's the Migo observer. Which seems like a handy effect. I just never get to play it because it's one of the costliest Migo.
Yeah, because at cost 4 I go, if I haven't got a Migo worker or the Migo king, who I can never try and I wouldn't even ever try and pronounce his name.
No, never.
I just always feel bad for trying to go up to cost 4.
Mm. Well, I mean, the Commander's 4 as well. So there's 2 cost 4 Migo. The Commander just significantly has a more significant impact overall.
Mm.
I mean, the Observer has a great effect, but you want that effect happening much earlier in the game, I would think. Because it's
ideally you need a way to cheat him out.
Yeah. I mean, you can get him on turn 2 if you can discount him with the worker. So.
Or with enough of the Priestess of Bubastis would help as well.
That is true. I forget about the Priestess.
Oh, I can't play Shub without the Priestess. She's just too useful as a 1-drop.
Right. I mean, I use her in a lot of red decks. It's just with the Migo, since they got all these new
shiny toys.
Yeah, since they got like the Migo worker and the Lord, I was like, I don't need the Priestess. She's just not a Migo. Also, I think I axed the Skull at one point. I did enjoy putting Migo Skull on the Priestess.
When I played with my teammate helping build a Migo deck with him, we looked at the Skull, but then settled on Savio instead, as he was giving them all terror anyway and was a much angrier card.
Right. It's hard to say no to Savio when you're building for Shub-Niggurath as well.
Or especially with Toxemia, now you go, I will be using one.
So here's that polar event you mentioned earlier.
Ice Storm.
Ice Storm.
Yeah, so as an action, you have to discard a success token to go into a story. So can really help slow down your opponent, particularly if it looks like they're about to try and win.
Mm-hmm. And this is me pointing at the camera because I'm trying to figure out what the hell. Yep. Yes, Ray. Thank you. Yep.
Ray's going, look, here are cards. There are things happening.
There's been a lot of mugging for the camera lately. Our friend Carlo is taken to bowing whenever someone plays Nyarlathotep on the table. He's a big Nyarlathotep fan.
Does he only do it for the restricted version, not for the new one?
It's the new one. That's the one that's getting played.
Oh, okay.
Yes, coming soon on deck is the Avatar deck from Rod.
Now, I'm intrigued by that. Yesterday I was at the UK Nationals and my teammate was meant to go with me, but sadly he was ill and he was intending to take an Avatar deck. So I'm going to be very intrigued to see that one. As I explained the concept of avatars to my friend, he went, and he loves combo decks. He always wants to play combos. So he just had to build it.
I having played against Rods yesterday, I was very impressed by how it was going. It was like, you have like 3 cost 4 characters within 3 or 4 turns.
It is quite mean. Meanwhile, the game. So you won a second dragon and were very cheeky enough to get yourself more Ageless Amigo, whilst Ray unfortunately had no characters.
I think what that was, and I might have been wrong, I thought...
You abducted it, just to really hammer home to it.
Yeah, I definitely abducted the Night Gaunt. I thought I got those... For some reason, I thought I was fishing cards out with the Migo Observer, but that was clearly not the case.
No, this is now. This is what's being discarded to the Serpents, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, I see where I was mistaken earlier. Just the place I put the Ageless Migo, I didn't think they were ageless, but I see now they are unserpented Ageless Migo. But I'm happy to have all the toughness in the world.
Yeah, that's the thing. Aegis Amigo and Toxemia are such good friends.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like another Night Gaunt and maybe a title pool.
And sticking with the character theme for understandable reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And then the incredible choice. Does he go for Hound of Dragons or Hound of Dragons?
What were you thinking when he first pulled those cards? Which would he choose?
Well, I mean, I'd want to pick the second one just because it's newer.
Right, yeah. It's fresher. It's part of the cards.
So I kind of feel bad for Ray right now. He's got no success tokens, no characters.
Oh, but has he a character now?
There we go. There's Monqua.
We've known this is coming for some time now. And that frickin' Night Gaunt. 2 Night Gaunts.
Pair of Nigons just to go, no, you stay away.
I think when we were playing this game was when Ray realized that Night Gaunts could take away a subtype. He was thinking that that didn't quite qualify as the text box.
Oh, okay, because it's going with when does and doesn't something qualify, and yeah, because in various games, what does and doesn't can make it very tricky to always know, isn't it?
Right. Fortunately, Cthulhu is very straightforward. If it's in the text box, it's in the text box.
Yeah, if it's in that section, yeah, fine. Because I know occasionally, like in Game of Thrones and some, for example, they will say blank text box except traits. I don't think we actually have anything like that in Cthulhu.
Not that I can think of. I mean, no, when they say traits, is that their equivalent of subtype or is that a different thing?
Yeah, the subtype, so Migo, Sorcerer, Spell, etc.
Okay.
So Thundering More Serpents.
Yep. Serpents do not care for loud noises. This is a known thing.
Oh, they get... you know, the blowing up the serpents I think is quite fair. Keys cost you some cards. Well, you might as well make up for it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a beefy turn of discard, and then I think I got away from most of it after that, just through either playing out or getting rid of that last serpent.
Yeah, so you've just got the one-on-one of your many Ages of Egos now.
Right. I believe that Migo became the designated one to take the hit every turn.
Yeah, he got put in the corner of the room to go, your job's just to stay there until you die you're just going to die a toxic death. Just get rid of that thing. Yeah, whatever it takes.
Are you familiar with the practice of the whipping boy for the young prince? You're going to take his hits. Just changing my mind about where the festival belongs.
You're thinking, no, I want 5 costs as well.
But I know there's no Lord of the Migo in hand. But I also recall how this game ended. Just checking out Numqua there. What's his malfunction? He can't be blanked, is that it?
He's immune, whilst it's night, he's immune to the effects of stories and conspiracies.
I see.
So he's particularly nice if you say the stories would go like return all characters to hand. If they are going to oppose and you're winning, you go, no, you all go away, I'm going to stay here. It's fine, lads.
Mm-hmm.
So the ability's interesting, but I don't think... It's not the kind of thing I'd really focus on. I think because he's just a tough ancient one, if anything, being toughness over invulnerable is a benefit these days just because of the presence of Toxemia.
Right. And he came from that one pack way back in the day where it was all about conspiracies. So it sort of makes sense that they would have an ancient one who didn't care so much. But I can't remember if any of those conspiracies were especially effective.
I think if we can't think of them, it kind of reinforces the point.
Yeah.
there's only so many conspiracies everyone can think of, and then there's plenty more that go, oh yeah, that exists.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it was that weird Syndicate Cthulhu misprint or whatever it was. Or one faction has the wrong icons on it.
Yeah, I think it was the Shub-Niggurath one that had the Syndicate resource at the bottom for some reason.
It was the first attempt at cross-faction cards. It didn't take off. It's very sad. This is
appears there's one healthy discussion between the two of you right now as well.
It is so much math right now. Just trying to figure out what can go where to... because of those night gaunts. Like the one thing about the one of the things about the Migo is they're generally low skill unless you have the caretaker out. So and even since it's night, they're all in the purview of the night gaunts. And this might be where we come up about how blanking takes away the subtype in the conversation.
I'd say from the amount of pointing and moving back and forth, that's cool. I'd say that's where the conversation's gone. I mean, at least you've got rid of non-quad to go, no, you're not allowed a large character to get in my way.
Mm-hmm. I think I was very proud of getting to push something that big.
It's not often you can get rid of an ancient one so easily.
Mm-hmm. Although lately someone's been very fond of, oh gosh, I can't remember anymore, but someone was very fond of pointing out all the cards that ancient ones are susceptible to. Like just the everyday prosaic things like, ancient ones are susceptible to, like the Lodge Barkeep. That was it.
Yeah, at times you suspend your disbelief. You're just like, Cthulhu, come and have a drink. Okay, yeah.
Yes, that's fine. I made this special for you. The non-Euclidean mug. Right, because, so wound that poor serpented Ageless Migo and then just stack up the characters such that wherever he puts his surviving Night Gaunt, it'll hopefully die.
And there appears to be some second thoughts on who's joining the Migo worker.
Mm-hmm. Let's check that again. There are some rules I just have struggle to absorb, like what blanks a text box versus removes icons, and that I think I was realizing like the one way I'm going to get through this Night Gaunt is to have a pile of icons. They're going to make the difference with characters who are still alive.
Yeah, because unfortunately you go, oh, the commander's got combat so I can send him in, but then he loses toughness so he then dies so he isn't given combat. Oh, you get into lots of thinking.
Yep. This might be why other games really don't have synergizing tribes, since Magic dropped splinters.
Slivers,
splinters, right.
The evil ass cards. At least with a lot of some of the Migo stuff only works on yours. Some of it is all, which gets even more confusing in mirror matches.
Mm-hmm. I've not run into that yet. That would drive me nuts.
Ray's deeply intrigued by your discard pile.
It's full of great stuff. Oh, that's why, because we're figuring out what I'm going to pull back. I think I was mentioning before we started recording that Sebastian Blake there is another character where I always got to double check what are the criteria for what he can pull back from the discard pile. But he's really anything, as long as you succeed where he was committed.
And say someone like him combined with Tear and Time, so you use him to put the card on top of your deck, and then Tear and Time to draw top two cards.
Mm-hmm.
And would be a fantastic way to go. I don't want to wait for that card. I need it now, particularly with events such as Pushed.
Right. Yeah, I had an earlier iteration of this had Terran Time and Sebastian. I unfortunately never really got to capitalize it because the other player would generally recognize that and it made sure one or the other went away.
And now Ray's having to repeatedly sand Giorgio from the story card that says we'll draw some cards. So he's having to constantly keep revealing cards. So, now the upside is you've got 100% knowledge of what's in his hand.
At the moment he reveals the cards, I absolutely have 100% knowledge. And then it all flies away. Because what's in my hand?
Watch back and go, oh, that's what he had.
Right. I knew he had that Ice Storm. And here we're numquine. Am I? Must be. Yeah. Poor Migo worker. He just wants to do his job.
So he tries to do things. No. Aww.
Nope. Take the day off. It's Labor Day.
So he's choosing between Caleb and Psychopath, and going for cheap Caleb. And then Ravager and more Psychopaths. His deck's just full of Psychopaths right now.
It is. It's mostly Psychopaths the way he's been thinning it. Reordering it.
his Ravager, his restricted card, has finally turned up. Because often with decks like this, it can be quite tough to work out what kind of restricted to go for.
He's just resurrected a Night Gaunt.
And Gala's back, and Ravager, so yay, he's got people again.
That is a full board.
Yeah, Ravager and Toxemia seems like a meme combination as well. Wound someone to go in. Now wound everyone.
Would you want to throw that into your iteration of the Toxemia and plus Cthulhu?
Quite possibly, though. I always feel Khopesh is often my go-to when playing with the Cthulhu faction, and with Toxemia just to give that targeted wounding as well. I mean, I would be tempted by Festival because it's hard not to with Shub-Niggurath. But I think the targeting removal from Khopesh, so if they do wound someone, you can, if someone's got toughness, such as, and if there was, say, a Soul Ageless Amigo, wound after you've wounded someone, wound them again and keep going for things. So
yeah, now I'm thinking about Migo with a power of toughness and a Khopesh. But
that's particularly mean.
Yeah, but in this case, I've blown up the Plague Stone. It's a very decisive move.
He goes to all that effort to get 4 characters. No, it's just not having it.
Yeah. It's the Megatron School of Diplomacy. I will give up everything to take away what you have.
To have a king.
Mm-hmm. King of the Migo.
King of the Migos.
Takes the last story. So that's it for another episode of Decked. Lee, thanks very much for coming back to comment.
Thanks for having me along again.
Folks, you should check out youtube.com/deckshow to see more episodes. You'll find them posting there very regularly. And we'll see you next time here on Decked.